Welcome to Mystara. And who's the first person you think of when I mention a worm-like leader, utterly ruthless with a band of cutthroat murderers willing to snuff out any who oppose him? A creature that rules through fear, intelligence, and sheer cunning. If you said Leto Atreides II, you're spot on. But he doesn't translate well to Mystara, so we'll have to settle on Jabba the Hutt. Today I'm covering the second part of the Savage Coast humanoids of note with the Wurmlings. That's Wurmling with a U, not a Y, and they're not draconic in any form. You gotta love homophones. They are one-book wonders, never appearing in any other source book of any setting. Achuta ma Picasa, Mr. Welch, and chuta malaya conke yanima lokanyan. Like the Goatmen, Wurmlings only ever appeared in the Savage Coast Monstrous Compendium. It's rather obvious they're based entirely on the Hutts from Star Wars. Okay, based is a pretty loose term here. You can still see where they filed off the serial numbers. There are a few noticeable physical differences. Wurmlings are larger, much larger. At full maturity, they're around 45 feet long. They have large ears like an elephant, proportionate to their face, and are hermaphrodites. There are no male or female Wurmlings, they're just Wurmlings. They're quite long-lived, with the oldest living well over 1,000 years. The creature's great bulk means they're strong and resilient. An adult Wurmling has a strength score of 20 and weighs several tons. They aren't agile or dexterous creatures because of their bulk. They're not exactly scooching up to hit you with a hammer. Instead, they prefer to use their mass as a weapon. They are quick. They come at you like a battering ram, faster than people will ever expect. They prefer to kill people with the Leto Atreides special, because they do a lot more damage with their 8-ton body than they do with a 10-pound hammer. A Wurmling can roll over 3 man-sized targets in a round. The victims get a saving throw to get out of the way. If they fail that, they take 1d4 per hit die of the Wurmling, and Wurmlings start at 10 hit dice. You do not want to get a lap dance from one of these guys. If forced, Wurmlings can slap you with their tail or even bite you, but they prefer to roll on top of you and then bounce. They are rarely even armed. That's why they have minions. If you're close enough to stab a Wurmling, there's a good chance they will sue for peace. They're quite intelligent, and despite their evil ways, they're famous for keeping their word. If they can make a problem go away with a bribe, the problem is considered solved. Just don't double-cross one. Trust me. Many people see the size of the Wurmling and base their opinion solely on that. Those people are dumb and will probably be dead soon. Wurmlings are some of the most intelligent creatures on Mystara, with an average baseline intelligence score of 16. They have perfect memory, can perform advanced math in their head, and learn languages almost on accident. They can see in multiple spectrums, hear outside the human range, and naturally have the legend lore ability like a second edition bard. They are the very definition of a genius bruiser. They prefer living inside the cursed regions of the Savage Coast, and are possibly the only creature that actually wants to be there. This is because, by a strange quirk of fate, Wurmlings gain multiple benefits from the curse. They naturally acquire more legacies as they age, up to a total of 7 at maturity. They do have to use Crimson Essence to obtain the legacies as they acquire them, but like inheritors, the new legacy is permanent. They get all the positives of taking Scarlet Pimpernel, but don't suffer the crippling hallucinations. They eat that stuff like it's candy to enhance their powers. In addition to all these amazing powers, they get thief skills like open locks, find and remove traps, move silently, somehow, hear noise, and read languages. At least they didn't try to explain how they have climb walls or hide in shadows. They're immune to mind-altering abilities that aren't directly a spell, like several of the bard abilities. Attempts to use skills like persuasion or intimidation against them automatically fail. Against mind-altering spells, they get a flat bonus to their saving throws. You're not charming your way past these things. So don't try to use any Jedi mind tricks on them. Because of all of their multiple advantages, Wurmlings excel in business. They prefer illicit endeavors. Their alignment is lawful evil. Their numerous abilities tend to result in them skyrocketing to a leadership position. Or if they can't find an organization to join, they will start a new one. They operate assassins' guilds and thieves' guilds, act as fences, bookies, or brokers. They are scrupulous in their dealings. They will not betray someone that makes an agreement with them. If the other guy decides to cross them, then his life isn't worth a copper piece. But the Wurmling will not betray a business partner first. Wurmlings prefer to work in the shadows, but their presence is tolerated because of their restraint. They will avoid activities that are bad for business, and publicity is often very bad for business. A Wurmling will run a back alley gambling hall in a large city, but he will run it fairly. He won't tolerate competition, but he won't resort to violence in the street. A Wurmling gets rid of his competition through blackmail, extortion, bribery, or even simply buying them out. Crime isn't much of a problem in a city with a Wurmling, as the creature keeps it under control and behind the scenes. The Wurmling greases the right palms and ensures all the taxes are paid on the earnings, and everybody's happy. That's not to say they won't feed a thief to a pack of pigs if necessary, but at least they'll do it when no one's looking. Another element of the Wurmlings organization that keeps the authorities happy is the fact they hire a large number of the various ne'er-do-wells in the area to serve as guards or henchmen in their operations. Local leaders will often have deals worked out with the Wurmling that gets the hireling special treatment when it comes to crime. The Wurmling keeps the crime hidden and off the street, and in return, his men have a certain degree of leeway in breaking the law. This only extends so far, and the Wurmling will more often deal with a minion that violates the agreement than let the local constabulary do it. Loyalty is high with the Wurmlings' employees, as they pay pretty well, but expect top-notch professionalism in return. An employee that betrays a Wurmling's trust is more than likely never going to be seen again. Wurmlings are territorial in not just business dealings, but also with their own kind. You're not going to find two Wurmlings working in the same area. Remember what I said about Wurmlings preferring to work behind the scenes and avoid public scrutiny? Well, a territorial dispute between two of them throws all that out the window. The streets erupt into total gang war that will only resolve with the death of one of the Wurmlings. This only happens when two rival Wurmlings are of equal power. A more powerful Wurmling often pays a weaker rival to go elsewhere and just absorbs his territory. A weaker one knows they have no chance to defeat their opposition, but an open war will hurt both sides. Equal-powered Wurmlings will both give an insulting offer to the other and then try to force the rival out. The resulting dispute will devastate both areas, and local leaders will do their best to kill one or the other Wurmlings to stop it. One business the Wurmlings consider risky is the smuggling of cinnabril and related materials. They need cinnabril because of their legacies and prefer their employees not mutate as well. But there's a lot of money to be made moving the excess red steel, smoke powder, and steel seed to buyers. The inheritors will do everything they can to stop this, as they have a monopoly. This can also lead to open warfare between the two factions. The inheritors have a large amount of magic and logistical resources, not to mention a mutual network of like-minded individuals. Wurmlings are master tacticians with a well-organized group of not very nice people. It's always a close fight. Wurmling bases are always well defended. In addition to the impressive combat abilities of the creature itself, it will have about 20 creatures serving as guards. These tend to be humans or humanoids, but they will hire intelligent monsters if they can. The promise of a constant supply of cinnabril is often enough to win the loyalty of the beast. The Wurmlings prefer to lair underground in a well-maintained stronghold. They tend to have several legitimate fronts on top of their lair, with the actual entrance to the underground portion a distance away. If somebody raids the front businesses, they won't find the lair, as it won't be physically connected. Anyone trying to storm the hideout will find it well defended, with choke points, murder holes, and secret passages, allowing the Wurmling's forces to outmaneuver the attackers easily. One particular defense the Wurmling has to defend its activities is its legend lore and perfect memory abilities. Wurmlings learn rumors of all of its minions and various important people in the region. Because it never forgets, it can keep track of all the rumors, blackmail material, and indiscretions it hears of, indefinitely. If a local lord starts to hurt the Wurmling's business, then you can be assured there's a scandal forthcoming that will turn the public against him. Because of their memory, Wurmlings don't have to write down their business dealings. They don't have a paper trail of their activities. They know how much they paid for what items, and who they paid it to, no matter how long ago it was. They can calculate the taxes on their businesses to the copper in their head, and they always deliver on time. Trying to bring one down by exposing their white-collar crime is all but impossible. In the rare times when Wurmlings need to mate, they will send out offers to others they respect and try to come to an agreement. They aren't looking for romance. The mating proposal will look more like a corporate merger than a love letter. The Wurmlings will pour over the offer and counteroffer, making concessions, demanding favors, and offering future deals until an agreement is made. Then the two Wurmlings will meet on neutral ground, do the nasty, and both come away pregnant. Remember, they're hermaphrodites. When the new Wurmlings are old enough, their birth parent will split off a region of their territory and give it to the child. Because Wurmlings live to be about 1,500 years old, they usually only breed when their territory has grown too large to manage or another has died, and there's an opportunity. While there is a little appreciation for inheriting the parent's initial gift, once the child is matured, the territorial instinct takes over, and the parent and child will view each other as rivals. Wurmlings have a laundry list of enemies in the Savage Coast. Their biggest enemies are their own kind, because they do not share power or territory. The inheritors want them all dead for the cinnabril smuggling, but have to deal with a hard-to-find enemy with many connections. Various local lords don't appreciate their power, but it's hard to stamp out the black market. Rival organizations in the form of thieves' guilds, assassin guilds, and pirates don't appreciate sharing markets with hyper-intelligent giant worms that can calculate compound interest in their head and pay double the market rate in wages. They would love to take out the Wurmlings, but they have the same problem everybody else does. Wurmlings know their strengths and weaknesses and plan accordingly. The only thing holding them back is their lack of delegation, which limits the scope of their organizations. Those are the Wurmlings. Yes, they are stolen shamelessly from Return of the Jedi, but at least they were given several interesting twists to make them interesting. They aren't the boss monster at the end of the dungeon. They're more like the evil CEO that knows how to screw you with an unfair contract. They're more on the lawful side of the lawful-evil alignment, but they won't hesitate to take out anyone who stands in their way of profits. Unlike other Savage Coast monsters, they're hard to take out of the region because the curse is beneficial to them. Put them in Minorthad, and they lose a good chunk of their abilities. Next up is the Umwa, a race of hippie manatees and the last of the interesting humanoids on the Savage Coast. Until then, Beskachata Noa Kong Banta Pudo. Ho 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 ho.